So I was playing around on YouTube and I decided to search for leadership in the search panel to see what would come up. I did videos under 4 minutes to see what was the most popular videos about leadership. The first, I don't even know how many, were just like silly shorts or videos about leaders tripping on things or whatever, and they were pretty humorous. But the first one I came to, and I sorted them by view count, I should be clear about that. So the first one I came to with the highest amount of views that was really informative was a video from Steve Jobs talking about managing people. It's about 2.5 minutes long, and it already has, I don't know, 7+ million views, something crazy like that. And it's from a few years ago, maybe even close to 10 years ago. But it talks about his philosophy and talks about Apple. And I think there's some interesting points here to discuss and things that maybe we get the wrong idea about as normal everyday people and not CEOs of major corporations. So let's take a listen and see what we talk about.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No.
0. We have no committees.
No committees.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call BS right here. We're 40 seconds in. You cannot tell me that every single individual at Apple works at a vice presidential level and manages everything. So you're telling me there's one person who manages all the iOS issues that occur at Apple? That's absurd. He's playing word games, and that's frustrating to me because it's giving people the wrong impression. He's making it seem like every single person at Apple is an autonomous department that just works in a direction, and that's not true. There's no way that's possible. There are data entry people, there are people that have to literally hand out things. I mean, like, pencils and paper. Are they their own vice president? Are they a group of one? So I don't like the way this is being framed from the get-go. It's giving people the idea that this, tens of thousands of people company is just a bunch of like-minded individuals all working in the same direction who require no leadership. And I don't think that's accurate.
And we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which
I'm gonna go ahead and say BS again. First off, you're telling me you meet with every single person from Apple every week for 3 hours? So no. So okay, let's be fair. Maybe he means he meets with every department head, which he already said we don't have committees, so maybe they call him something else, but he meets with every, let's say, senior vice president for 3 hours once a week, and they talk about everything. That's not true, because I, as a commander of 150 people, would meet with half a dozen of my junior leaders, and it would take 3 hours to get through what we were going to do for that weekend, much less the operations of $1 billion company. That's crazy. So again, I'm a little frustrated because I think he's painting this rosy picture that certainly is not the case. And I guarantee you that to prepare for the 3-hour meeting with Steve Jobs, that every one of those people that's in that meeting spent at least 20 hours the previous week setting up what they were going to present, what they were going to talk about, and what they were going to discard. So to assume that a company this size has a 3-hour meeting with everybody and ideas are shared and things are moved forward is just inaccurate.
filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching.
Okay, so I do like that. I agree 100% that the leadership sets the tone for the rest of the group, agency, team. Depending on how you work at your senior level and your senior leader level is how people are going to respond on the lower end of the levels. But even by that, he's already stated they don't have committees, so why do they have levels or hierarchies at all? So that's kind of confusing to me. But I do like the statement that great teamwork at the top leads to great teamwork at the bottom.
Them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well. And we're great.
Another great point. Give it up to him there. You cannot effectively manage if you're constantly watching people do what they're supposed to be doing. You have to trust that they're capable and that they understand the requirements. Now, it's your job as the leader to set those requirements and set the standards. You know, you have to tell them what you want them to do so that we're all working in the same direction. But you have to have faith that they're going to be able to carry out that task to the standard that you applied. And then you can do other things. And that's a force multiplier. That creates a situation where you can have 10 people working at the same time instead of having, you know, one person working and 5 others making sure that they're getting their job done.
At figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. And so what I do all day is meet with teams of people. And
okay, so overall, I think that's wise. Again, he's kind of contradicting himself before. He said we don't have committees, and now we have these great teams. So maybe it's a situation where they don't have like hard and fast assigned positions, but they create teams to solve individual problems. That's fine. I don't personally operate that way, but I think that's fine if you have that type of active leadership management style. But the idea that everybody's working towards a common goal requires leadership guidance and in-state establishment. So you need to set the standard. So I think that makes sense what he's saying.
Work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than snarky journalists. I mean, people that work for you.
Oh, yeah. No, we have wonderful...
So he just said he meets people all day talking about this stuff, when before he said we meet for 3 hours and discuss everything about the company. So, again, I think it's probably not fair to Steve Jobs that I'm ripping him like this, but at the same time, it's also not fair to the normal person like me, like us, who work at a different level, who are making these assumptions like I should be able to meet with my people 3 hours a week and call it a day. That's not realistic. I think this description of meeting with people regularly is much more applicable to our day-to-day operation than it would be that one meeting, you know, for 3 hours once a week, and that gets you through. You know, you need to be checking in with your people regularly. You need to be problem solving. You need to be proactive. You need to be pulling information as well as pushing information.
Arguments.
And do you win them all? Or?
Oh, no, I wish I did. No, see, you can't. If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win.
So,
otherwise, good people don't stay.
But you must be more than a facilitator who runs meetings. You obviously contribute your own ideas.
Okay, so I like what he said there. As the leader, you don't need to be a dictator. It's not about you, it's about the team. So I really like that concept of being run by ideas. You know, who's got the best idea? Let's pick that up and run with it. That being said, I think he's in a little unique position to hire people and let them make decisions. You know, he's not getting the bottom of the barrel. He's getting the top graduates from every tech school that's ever existed who, you know, have, 180 IQs and blah, 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 blah. You know, he's not getting, Joe Snuffy who just walked off the, GED field or whatever and is now decided he's going to be a computer programmer. Like, he's not dealing with that type of person. He's already got the top 1%, which makes it a whole lot easier to allow them to be creative and take that freedom with trust, because you can assume they have a level of expertise. Whereas most of us are operating at a different level. Most of us are dealing with what we have. And in a lot of cases, we can't let people go because we don't have anybody to backfill them. And so it's a little bit different for us, but I understand where he's coming from.
Contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
Okay, so I like that last point too. the leader is not just a sieve through which information and ideas pass through and they reduce them and apply them. All right, that's a big part of it, but the leader is engaged in the decision making. You need to be creative. You need to be proactive. You need to be contributing ideas of your own from your experience, or else why are you in that leadership position? So don't be afraid to throw something out there. And don't be afraid to get slapped back, because sometimes your ideas are not the best ideas either. So I like where he's going with that, how he has a culture of, ideas-based production, and instead of a hierarchical production. So like, instead of just the most senior person gets to say, I like that he is taking a more of a concept-based mentality on it. But that being said, once again, when you're operating around a bunch of geniuses, you can get away with that. This type of leadership model doesn't work at McDonald's. I ain't hating on anybody that works at McDonald's. I've worked in fast food. It's not, it's a job. But there, it's a job. At Apple, it's a lifestyle. It's a career, because they can afford that. They can select the people that are seeking that out. If you tried this business model at McDonald's, it's going to be a mess. Like, some people are going to do certain things and some people aren't, and you're not going to have the product at the end of the day. If you tried this leadership model in the military, it would completely fall apart, because there's lots of jobs that have to be done that nobody wants to do. They still have to be done. And part of being a leader is determining who has to do those jobs. So while I think he's got some good points, I think it's pretty unrealistic for 99% of the leaders that are going to be observing this. So yes, concept-based leadership I think is important. Having a culture where you can be challenged and you are focused on the best option for the team is important. But some of this stuff is just absurd. Like, no one is a committee. We have no groups. Everyone's an individual. That's crap. That's not true. Like, it's just not the way things get done. So, pretty good information. I didn't think it was that profound for having 8 million views, but whatever. It's been on YouTube for 13 years, so maybe just aggregated. All right. Well, good times. We'll do this again. Take care.